Pantheon AI presents Fed Leadership Battle, Intel in Hot Seat, and Bitcoin Breakout. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PAI Morning Briefing. It is August 7th, 2025, and we have a lot to get through today.
We certainly do, John. Good morning. It looks like a bit of a mixed bag out there to start the day. Where are the major indexes sitting?
Right. Well, the S&P 500 is hovering around 6346, down about 0.44%. And the Dow is feeling a bit heavier, down over 1% at about 43,941.
And it looks like the Nasdaq is also down, though not quite as much. Just a dip of about 0.2% to 21,285. The small caps in the Russell 2000 are also sliding, down nearly a full percent.
So a bit of weakness in the traditional markets, but Sarah, it's a completely different story over in the crypto world, isn't it?
It really is. A splash of green and a sea of red. Bitcoin is trading up around 1.3%, sitting near 116,500. And Ethereum is doing even better, up almost 4% to about 3825.
That's a fascinating contrast. It really makes you wonder if we're seeing a bit of a flight to alternative assets as the equity markets get shaky, or if this is just its own separate wave of investor sentiment.
Exactly. So what's driving some of this uncertainty in the broader market? I'm hearing a ton of chatter about the Fed. Again,
you and everyone else. The big story is that Fed Governor Waller is apparently emerging as the favorite for the next Fed chair. The Trump team seems to like his optimistic forecast for rate cuts.
That's always a tricky situation. I saw that he's met with members of the Trump team, which immediately brings up conversations about central bank independence. That's a delicate balance.
It really is. It's a classic case of weighing the promise of decisive action against the potential perils of political influence. And speaking of politics and business colliding, there's another story stirring the pot.
Let me guess. Does it involve Intel?
You got it. Former President Trump has called for Intel's CEO to step down, citing his ties to China. With Intel's stock already under pressure, this kind of comment is like throwing a match into a room full of fireworks.
Wow, that really adds a new layer of drama for corporate leadership, doesn't it? It's one thing to navigate market forces, but another to navigate direct political calls for your resignation.
Absolutely. Now, on a more constructive note, there's some big news in the fintech world. Ripple is set to acquire a stablecoin payments platform called Rail for $200 million.
Oh, that's a very interesting move. It really shows Ripple is positioning itself to be a major player as stablecoins become more integrated into global finance. A big bet on the future of digital payments.
Definitely. Let's shift gears for a second to the labor market. The latest jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is telling an interesting story.
Right, I saw that. They're describing it as a low-hire, low-fire mode. Jobless claims are holding steady around 226,000, which suggests companies aren't laying people off in droves, but they're not exactly on a hiring spree either.
The report used an analogy I liked. It's kind of like a lukewarm cup of coffee. It does the job, but it's not exactly exhilarating.
That's the perfect way to put it. But you know what does sound exhilarating? The excitement around the Firefly Aerospace IPO. We're going from Wall Street to the final frontier.
For sure. There's huge investor demand for this moon exploration company. The IPO was upsized, and it's set to trade on the Nasdaq under the ticker FEL. It really signals how much appetite there is for these high-tech, forward-looking industries.
It's incredible. And speaking of future-focused tech, there's a big development in the energy sector, too. Energy Vault just got final approval for a major acquisition in Australia.
That's right, a massive battery energy storage system. This deal really cements Energy Vault as a key player in grid-scale storage, which is critical for making renewable energy more reliable and widespread.
It's a huge step. These kinds of innovations are what will really unlock the potential of solar and wind power globally. Now, let's look at another sector that's been quietly performing very well. Media and entertainment.
Yes, Warner Brothers Discovery is having a great run. Films like a Minecraft movie, Sinners, and the new Final Destination have collectively pulled in over $2 billion. It's a great reminder that entertainment is big, big business.
And that sometimes a little bit of gaming magic can translate into box office gold. We're also seeing some interesting consolidation in the tech and engineering space.
We are. ZenaTech just announced it's acquiring Cardinal Civil Resources, a Virginia-based engineering firm. This move helps ZenaTech expand its drone and tech-driven engineering services, especially with clients like the Department of Transportation.
It's so interesting to see these traditional industries like civil engineering being transformed by AI and other advanced tech. It really blurs the lines between tech and infrastructure.
Completely. And, of course, we can't forget the daily market commentary. Jim Cramer highlighted Apple stock, which is up again after announcing more manufacturing commitments at the White House.
Apple just continues to be this incredibly resilient force in the market, doesn't it? So, John, if we step back and look at the sectors, what's the big picture?
Well, in tech, it's a story of dynamism and disruption. You have the political drama at Intel on one hand and strategic acquisitions like ZenaTech's on the other. It's unpredictable, but that's what keeps it exciting.
And in energy, that Energy Vault deal is a perfect example of the massive shift towards renewables. It's no longer a niche market. It's redefining the entire energy landscape. The question is how the traditional giants will adapt.
Right. Then in finance, the theme is really about the growing interplay between politics and corporate governance. The Intel story is more than a headline. It signals a new reality for boardrooms everywhere. Investors have to be watching this trend.
And all of this has global implications. A potential Fed leadership change in the U.S. doesn't just stay in the U.S. It impacts capital flows, exchange rates, and investor sentiment worldwide. It's all connected.
It truly is. Trying to predict the market right now feels like trying to guess the next plot twist in a thriller. Just when you think you have it figured out, the script gets rewritten.
So, looking ahead, what are some of the expert predictions floating around?
Well, monetary policy is the big wild card. With Waller in the mix, we could see a more accommodating Fed. In tech, expect more political and regulatory involvement. And in energy, the green transition seems to be accelerating, which is a strong long-term trend.
Those are great points. It leaves our listeners with some important questions to think about. For instance, how would a Fed rate cut affect your personal investment strategy? And do you see the political influence on corporations as a risk or a catalyst for needed change?
Exactly. These are the kinds of questions we should all be mulling over. So to quickly recap, we've got mixed indexes but strong crypto, a potential new Fed chair shaking things up, and political pressure on major tech companies like Intel.
Plus, we saw strategic acquisitions from Ripple and ZenaTech, a lukewarm jobs report, an exciting space IPO with Firefly, and big moves in renewable energy from Energy Vault. It's a complex picture, for sure.
It is, and we want to give a sincere shout out to Pantheon AI for helping us be your information co-pilot through it all. Our goal is to empower you with insights, not just numbers.
So as you go about your day, think about what risk management looks like for you right now. Is this a time for caution, or do you see opportunities emerging from the volatility?
Great questions to ponder. Thank you all for spending your morning with us. We'll be back tomorrow with more insights and analysis. Until then, keep a curious mind and happy investing.
Pantheon AI, your information co-pilot.
Because learning shouldn't feel like a full-time job. Take care and see you next time.